Hello and welcome to day two of the challenge. So yesterday we covered the three essential elements of knee health. We talked about quad strength, we talked about range of motion, again, not only at the knee, but also at the hips, also at the ankle. And then finally, neuromuscular control, which is a little bit more advanced once you finally, optimize your strength, optimize your range of motion. So now that you understand what makes up a healthy knee, let's dig into where your pain is coming from and what it might mean for you. So I'll use my knee model throughout today to give you a little bit better picture of what areas I'm talking about. And then there's also a nice chart that I'm going to include at the bottom too that will summarize everything that we go over today. So the first area we're going to talk about is pain in the front of your knee. So pain here can often be related to the kneecap. Obviously, your kneecap's in the front of your knee, so that makes sense. Um, but conditions here can be things like patellofemoral pain syndrome or tendonitis. If pain's located above the kneecap, it's more likely to be involvement of the quad tendon, whereas if it's located below the kneecap, it might more likely involve the patellar tendon. But it's important to note if someone tells you, a doctor tells you you have patellofemoral pain syndrome, basically that means they've ruled out everything else that's serious because patellofemoral pain syndrome is what we call a diagnosis of exclusion, meaning it's nothing else, but your knee still hurts. So here's a label that we're going to a tag on it. But if it is more of a tendon issue, there are things that we can do to improve that, such as gradually stressing those areas over time. But the point of this video is not to go over treatment, more just to go over the different structures involved in various areas of your knee so that if you are having pain in that area, you might have a structure or something that you can point to. So that's the front of the knee, thinking likely tendon issues or involvement of the kneecap. Next, if we have pain on the inside of the knee here, this could lead to or be a cause by meniscus tear or MCL sprain. So you've got two menisci, which are basically just discs that sit between um, your tibia and your femur. And what these do are they help with shock absorption and they just help things move smoothly. So if you have tears in those areas, you can have pain with bending your knee, sensitivity around the area, things like that. And then the MCL is just this ligament that sits on the side of the knee that prevents it from uh, prevents your knee from caving in. And in the same note, if you have pain on the outside of your knee, it can also be due to one of the lateral ligaments known as the LCL, which is again just helps your knee from bending outwards, so opposite of the MCL. And then this can also be due to IT band syndrome. If you're having pain on the side of your knee, the IT band inserts just below the knee and it wraps all the way up and then goes into your glute. So if you are having lateral knee pain, the IT band can be involved because there's a lot of friction that's involved with it. It's a very large structure. You can't necessarily change the length or stretch the IT band, but you can work on structures surrounding the IT band, such as the glutes. Lastly, if you're having pain behind the knee, it could be due to a Baker cyst or or hamstring tendon problems. So just be aware of that. With Baker cyst, it's something that's a little bit more challenging to treat, could potentially involve surgical intervention. If it's a hamstring tendon problem, then again, that's something oftentimes can treat with physical therapy. So that should hopefully give you a good idea of just some of the different structures involved in the knee. There's a lot going on here, so that's why it's important to not just say, "Hey, I have knee pain," but to get a little bit more specific. Is your pain above the knee, below the knee? Is it on the sides or is it behind? Because if you're able to describe your knee pain a little bit more clearly, it'll really help your providers, whether that's an orthopedic doctor, whether that's a physical therapist, whoever's taking a look at your knee will be able to do a much better job of assessing what potential structures are involved, what different testing they can do to figure out, the seriousness of it. Is it tendon? Is it ligament? Is it, muscle? So just pay attention and think about where you're having your knee pain so you can describe it well to others. And then our exercises for today are going to be the bridge. And you can also look at the modified versions that I have on my page as well. And then for mobility, there's going to be two different stretches we're going to work on, the piriformis stretch and hamstring stretch, both performed in the seated position. If you're doing this challenge live with me, you'll be getting these in your emails. If not, again, feel free to take a look on my page for those exercises to get started with them. So that concludes day two. Hopefully, this was helpful. If you have any questions, either drop them in the comments or you can DM me, email me, whatever you need. I'm happy to help with. And we'll see you in day three.